Hello. I will want to, first of all, thank you all for being here today. Thank you for registering for this digital security awareness training, for making out time out of your busy days. I trust you're all doing well. Good evening to you. My name is Ibrahim Isaac, and I am the founder and CEO of Front Dreams Technologies. And yeah, one of our services is to bring you this training, which is why we saw the need. And I'm going to be explaining briefly what you're going to be learning in this course, in this training. So this training, first of all, it's we're gonna have certificate as well at the end. But we're gonna be talking about cyber threats. You're gonna know why I'm talking about that and the impact on organizations today. And I believe we're all in one way or the other related to an organization or connected to an organization. So we're going to learn how to identify these threats and best practices to mitigate them, and how to identify and how to mitigate them, and what we should do when we suspect these threats. So I'm going to share my screen now and proceed. So we're going to be talking about mainly building a first line of defense for your organization. So this is organization related. Now, a brief information about myself. I have told you already that I am the founder and CEO of Front Dreams Technologies. I'm also a digital marketing specialist. I'm the digital marketing manager at Amsterdam Tech in Netherlands. I'm an electrical and electronic engineer as well, masters and bachelors. I'm a full stack developer as well. Yeah, I have a coat of many colors. And about our company, we're an IT company in Nigeria and Canada. We'll be existing for over 8 years, serving clients internationally. We've worked on over 500 web development design projects, including database solutions. And we recently just got our license to become a data protection compliance organization with the Nigerian Data Protection Commission. So we are now licensed to provide security, especially when it comes to data protection. And one of our services that we've been licensed to offer is this training. So we're going to be offering this training from time to time. And we would like more organizations to be joining us to be learning these things. Now, over the course of 8 years, over 8 years in business, I've worked with several organizations, and one of the things I came to understand is how they handle data, how they handle breaches, and many of them are poor in doing that, especially the ones in Nigeria. They are poor in handling security, and I'm going to show you the level of attacks that we are facing and what we are going to be facing in our country, in the nearest future. So in this training, it's supposed to be a 2-hour training. I'll try to see if we could finish earlier. I know it's close of work for many people, but we will not rush anything. So this is just what it's going to be looking like at the end. So we're going to go with cybersecurity introduction, the threats, internet and email usages, password securities, how we can protect sensitive information, recognizing and reporting security incidents, social engineering defense, and then creating a culture of security awareness. And then you can have your questions and answers as well. So in the process of us taking this training, I am hoping that you're going to have some questions. So please, you have the chat box wherever you are, whether you are viewing from an external source or you're viewing from inside this training source. Please, you can drop your questions in the chat box and I will be happy to answer them in my best capacity if I can. So, introduction to cybersecurity. So we're going to be looking at the importance of cybersecurity in a workplace and recognizing the role of employees in protecting organizational assets. So building the foundation for a secure workplace is what we're going to be looking at. So cybersecurity, what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity refers to the practices and technologies designed to protect systems, networks, and data from cyber threats. Now, these are three types of, or rather, three levels of cyber attack, cybersecurity that we're going to be, that exist basically: systems, networks, and data. So the systems part is the what we're going to be discussing today, which is the structure of the structure in your organization that secures, that allows for security to take place. The network part is more of highly technical part that deals with internet hacking and all that. Yeah. Well, the systems part actually gives way for the network attacks and also the data attacks, data threats. Yeah, but then we're not going to be discussing on the networks and data now, even though we have been licensed to offer data, protection solutions. But today is just about creating an awareness in an organization. And I believe that if an organization has created a cybersecurity awareness among its employees, they can reduce a whole lot of errors when it comes to security and save companies a whole lot. So securing information is vital, especially nowadays that everything is going digital, and it's vital for the success of an organization. So why it matters, why cybersecurity matters. Um, it matters because it will protect sensitive data from unauthorized access. You don't want data of someone who is not supposed to have a particular data and is having that data. It's actually wrong. The person is not supposed to have that kind of data. So we need to protect information. Data ranges from there are different types of data. We're going to look at how you can classify data. There's data that is publicly available. There are different types of data. But then, you need to know which data you can make available to the public, which one you're going to make, you're going to secure. So cybersecurity is important on all levels. Why cybersecurity matters? Because it prevents financial loss due to cyber attacks. It helps to prevent financial loss. Maybe you have never experienced cyber attack, but if you hear from those who have experienced cyber attacks, the impact is big. It's heavy. Many of them lose millions in dollars or in nairas, but it leaves a big impact on organizations. So it is very important that cybersecurity is taken seriously. And over the course of years, I'm sure that even in Nigeria, many organizations or many individuals will talk about scamming. In fact, Nigeria is number 5 in the world when it comes to cyber threats. I mean, the level of threats that are going on, Nigeria is number 5 after USA, Russia, Ukraine. Nigeria comes number 5 in cyber attacks index. So you can imagine. And that doesn't mean it's just outside Nigeria that these people are attacking. They're attacking inside Nigeria as well. So cyber attacks affect companies' reputation and how clients trust you. So it affects that a lot. And obviously, this is gonna translate into monetary problems as well. So according to Premium Times, the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Lisa Pantami, said that threats to public websites and portals averaged around 1.5 million daily in the country. There are 1.5 million daily threats in the country. But then last year, this was last year's analysis. Last year, during the election, it skyrocketed to 6.9 million. 6.9 million on the presidential election day. So imagine if there are 1.5 million attacks daily, it might just fall on you if you're not ready. So it's important that we are prepared for, cyber attacks. Now, the common cyber threats available are malwares, phishing attacks, and then social engineering. Malwares, you might have heard about malwares. Malwares are software viruses, that you can download, or someone gives it to you in your flash drive, you put in your system, and all of a sudden your system is having issues. So those are malwares, viruses, and all those other anything related to software is under malware when it comes to cyber attacks. Then phishing, it's we're talking when we talk about phishing, we're talking about deceptive emails and messages. It come through text messages, through emails, designed to steal personal information or financial information from you. Most of them, their goal is financial, anyways. And then when we talk about social engineering, we're talking about manipulative tactics. It could come through malware, it could come through phishing, it could come through physical, attacks. But we're talking about the use of human interaction and psychology to trick individuals into divulging or giving personal or confidential information. So you're going to see how I'm going to explain more about how these things happen. The impact, I did mention a few: financial loss. Breaches can result in significant financial damages, fines, even apart from just you losing money. When you lose data, you can be fined by the government. So there is financial loss, there's operational disruption. Companies have closed down due to, cyber attacks. Reputation damage, obviously, but in most cases, those who have been attacked don't like to talk about it, don't like to make it public because of reputation. But when it goes out, it's bad. So they always try to contain it, and then we'll have legal consequences. Failure to protect data. This happens mostly when it comes to data. So failure to protect data can result in legal penalties and lawsuits. Great. So now look at what happened last year. Cyber attacks on organizations in Nigeria. Prior to 2023 and the first quarter of 2023, cyber attacks were just on the minimal. But when it came to the elections, we were experiencing 1.6 on election day alone, not even on the quarter. 1.6 million attacks. And then shortly after that, it came down a little bit. But then in 2024, it has been estimated because see, what has happened is people have now learned that Nigeria's security system is bad. We are very vulnerable. So based on what they have cashed on in the previous year, they are now attacking more. And it was in this year that it was published that Nigeria is now number 5 in cyber attacks index. So you can read from sources from Deloitte, Daily Trust, and Business Insider Africa. You're going to find this information. So which is why there's need for Nigeria to step up when it comes to cybersecurity. Now, your employees play a major role in cybersecurity. One person or the executives, the head of the organizations, are not just the only ones that are important. I think the most important are even your front desk because they are the first line of contact with customers. And people will not necessarily just go to the head; they also come through, an open door at the weakest point. So every employee should be trained. And I believe that every organization, it's not actually a belief, it is a requirement by the government in Nigeria that everyone has to go through training in an organization. So every employee, whether you're existing or you're expecting or you're a new employee, the person is supposed to go through an onboarding, right? And in that onboarding, security training must be there. So it is a very, very vital part of your organization. I mean, one kind of cyber threats is insider threats. Many of cyber attacks happen because of human error, not necessarily because someone just wants to come and attack. If someone just wants to come and attack, but when there's a human error, you leave a loophole for the perpetrators, and the impact can be very heavy. So this is just an overview about the introduction to cybersecurity. It is essential for protecting organizations' data and assets. It is important. I mentioned 3 important major kinds of cyber threats, which is the malware, the phishing, and the social engineering. And I told you that every employee plays a vital role in maintaining a secure workplace. Now we're going to look at the cyber threats in broader light. We're going to identify the types and how they manifest themselves. Okay, so identifying and mitigating everyday cyber risks. I'm going to start with phishing. You might have come across phishing in your emails, or maybe this term is new to you, but these are fraudulent attempts. Someone sending you an email pretending to be someone else, or he's not the real person that is sending you the email. I mean, he's lying about himself, or basically sending out fraudulent attempts to obtain sensitive information by disguising as a trustworthy entity. Most of the time, they can disguise themselves as your boss, someone that you trust. So it could be your boss or a family member, and they always create a sense of urgency, or they use fear or your interests. And most of the times, it's money. Especially for upcoming, let's say, new companies that are upcoming looking for money. They know that, okay, these guys need money, so they want to offer you a deal. They come off as a client that can pay a very big amount of money, and then they collect as many information as they can from you. They study you, and that's how they exploit you. Before you know, they've hit so hard, and it will be too late. So, which is why the trainings come before. There's a training before the incident happens. When the incident happens, what is there? It's called an incident response. But before the training, there's supposed to be before the attack, there's supposed to be a training and a defense system in place. So signs of phishing, like I said, emails from unknown senders or with suspicious links. And they come in different form. There are some that call spear phishing. Spear phishing, they come as though, they come with your name. They come as though they know you. You see, you can identify the normal phishing, because sometimes they come with poor grammar. The email is just so unprofessional. They use their user, they don't use your name. But when we talk about spear phishing, they come very direct. They use your name, they introduce themselves, they introduce something that you want, and they provide a solution. And because these guys have studied you and they want to attack you now. So, but there are ways that you can actually use to prevent this from happening, or prevent yourself from falling into their trap. So sometimes they come asking for login credentials, personal information. Will tell you that, oh, your subscription is expiring. So, and it's gonna make sense. Sometimes they monitor these things. We wonder how they do that, but they spend hours and days and even months studying people just to attack them. So, how to avoid phishing attacks? The first thing you do is don't respond. Don't respond at all. Don't respond in excitement. Don't respond out of fear. Don't respond at all. So, no matter how exciting the thing is, don't click on the links as well, or don't download any attachments. If you're using a professional email services, some of them scan these emails, phishing emails, and send them to spam. But when it happens on a higher level, the spear phishing, these scanners are not able to detect it. So you will almost think it's real, and then they will get you. Once they get you, you might be too late. So another thing you have to do is always verify the sender. You're going to hear me say this, very often as we proceed. So always verify the sender's email address. Trace the sender's IP address to verify the person's country and location. Check the website and date of the business name. I'm going to show you something just now. So how do you check? I'm going to show you how do you check if an organization or an attempt is legitimate, right? I'm just going to give you a short attempt on this one. So, of recent, someone sent me an email. This was actually today. So this is pretending to be from Zenith. So I printed this email. This person pretended to come from Zenith Bank, and the email is alerts. Zenith Corporate team alerts at zenithplc.net. You can see the date and time. And I sent it to our account. And the email looks like this. Dear company, we hope this finds you well. We're writing to inform you that your account is at risk of being restricted due to non-compliance with our money laundering policies. And how they got my account number, with the company's account number, we don't know. But these other digits are wrong, and they gave us 44 hours. So it creates a sense of urgency, and they're dropping the link. This is just a typical example of a spear phishing account attempt. So first thing you do is you see the email you have to verify. So I know Zenith PLC, Zenith Bank domain name, and this is not it. But how do you verify this? I will show you. When you get something like this, there are methods of verification. One of the methods is to check the domain name, the length of the domain name, the duration of the domain name. So if I come here and I type Zenith PLC.net, it does not exist. So this is a fake. Obviously, it's fake. But sometimes they actually put up a website. There are some of them that you go to, they actually put up a website that you can go and you actually see website and you think it's real. There was one time I saw Turkish Airlines website. Someone sent something from Turkish Airlines, and it looked just like their website. Something didn't just sit well with me, but after looking at the domain name, the I in the airlines, in between A and R, was not the English I, it was a Turkish I. And it translated, I mean, it was a separate new domain bought altogether, and that was how I knew that it was fake. But maybe many other people had fallen victim to him already. So what I want to also show us is, after checking this, and maybe you see a website, always check using Whois lookup. There are several websites like this, but when you type Whois on Google, it will show you different websites that you can use to check the ownership, the registration details of the domain name. So when you come here, look, it says this domain is 6 days old. And this is where you know that these guys are not serious. So 6 days old, created, on the 30th of last month. And so they created this just for this purpose. And they not even put up a website, just hosted it and all that. So this is how you actually know that domains emails are wrong, or they are phishing emails. You can go to the extent of checking the IP of that email using IP lookup. Now in the header, because I didn't want to open my email, if you check your email address just beside the address where you have the email address, you will find a place that asks for details or show original email. It will show you an IP address. All you need to do is open IP lookup, paste the IP in here or in here, and get IP details. It will trace the IP of that person. Most likely, what you are looking for is just to know the originality of that email, the legitimacy of that email. Sometimes they use VPN, and this will trace to a different IP than the country of origin where the email was coming from. But what you want to know is if actually the email tallies with the IP location. So someone can send an email asking you for, telling you that he is in Argentina, but then the IP shows that he is in Asia. Then obviously you know that it is wrong. So this is what I wanted to demonstrate here to show you. So check for your countries. And yes, if you are using websites, talk to your developer. There is a way on every website form. There is a way that the developer can put, will I say, codes that will send you the sender's country and IP details whenever the person fills the form. The person will not see it, but you can collect the IP address of that person. So if the person is sending and is telling you he's from a different country, but then you receive an email and then it shows that the IP of that email was from another country, you know that it is fake. So These are steps that you take in verifying phishing attacks. Now, let's say you are not as technical as possible to be able to do all of these things that I've mentioned. It is important though that after receiving every email, the person that deals with, especially those info emails, those front desk emails, that the person does not respond to email. The person should not have the responsibility of responding to the emails. The person should forward the emails. Or better still, let the info email, those emails that are publicly available online on your social media, on your website, let the IT personnel or the management be responsible or have shared access to those emails so as to not be able to, allow them for exploitation. Very important. So malwares now, that is about phishing. We'll still talk more about phishing, but when we talk about malwares, we're referring to viruses, ransomwares, spywares. Don't bother about the names. But what we're talking about are softwares. They come in different forms. Softwares that are sent to you to harm or exploit, the system. It could exploit your server, it could exploit your mobile phone or your laptops or even the whole network itself. So it is very important that there is serious, mitigation when it comes to this, or prevention when it comes to this. So types of them. When we talk about virus, we're talking about they come to infect and spread through files, causing damage. So they enter files. Ransomwares come and then they lock you out of your system. And they tell you that, okay, you have to pay some amount before you're able to do. So they hold you ransom. Basically, that's what it is. So sometimes when we go online and we're downloading drivers or downloading softwares or anything, you can download these things and then they will tell you that, okay, it's a package. When you finish downloading it, you have everything. But when you're done downloading it, it locks you and tells you you must pay this amount before you're able to access it. Most of the time, it's not true, and then it locks your system. And sometimes, while it's locking your system, it's sending information about your system to whoever is, the designer of that ransomware. So from there, you lose a lot of information. Then we have spyware. Spyware secretly monitors and collects personal information without consent. They are online as well. You could download them yourself. So these are softwares by themselves. Now, how do you protect against malware? Use up-to-date antivirus software. That is very important. Up-to-date antivirus softwares, and avoid downloading software from untrusted sources. People do this a lot. Now, even websites. I'll talk about website because I'm experiencing that. When you go on WordPress, for example, there are lots of plugins because WordPress is an open source CMS. So different people around the world are developing plugins. Now, the ones inside the WordPress marketplace, you will see that WordPress will tell you that it has been tested with WordPress and with the current version of the WordPress. If it has not been tested, it will not show you to tell you otherwise. So that means, even with every grade of update that WordPress does, it has to test all those plugins. And professionals, or I would say hackers, have exploited plugins to attack company websites, attack companies through their comment section. Comment section is very vulnerable in WordPress. You're going to see that. So it's very important that your systems are all up to date. That's what I'm trying to say. Very, very up to date. Some attacks don't just enter your files, they enter your database. And when they enter your database, they enter your server and they affect everything. So it is important that there's always security on your phones when it comes to, you know, websites. And you've heard of bots. Sometimes you can notice if you are monitoring the analytics, the traffic on your website, there are times that if you notice that you see so many traffic, you see maybe you've gotten, usually you used to get maybe let's say 1,000 views in a month. And then 1 month you open, you see you have 10,000 views. And it's not like you sold anything or you did any marketing. Chances are that bots have been attacking your website because Google does not know the difference. It's going to record it. So bots are attacking your website. So what you do is you look through you have to use a specialist to do that. A developer, someone who is a cybersecurity specialist, to look at it, block those bots from attacking your website, trace the origin and stop them. Now, another practice is when you are browsing your normal browsing, on your phones or on your systems, use ad blockers. Use ad blockers. Now, I know it's not that easy to use ad blockers on phones, so the important thing is don't visit websites that you do not know using your mobile device, especially browsers. When you're using apps, they are more secure because they are coming from app stores that have tested these apps. But when you're using browsers, ensure you stick to websites that you know. Then be cautious when installing new programs or opening email attachments. So when you do this, you find out that you're securing yourself against these malwares. Now, social engineering, like I said earlier, this involves manipulating individuals into divulging confidential information by exploiting trust or fear. They use psychology and manipulation techniques to get people. They study what you are afraid of or what you need, and they come to you with those solutions. And before you know, uh, it's not actually the solution. So there are three types of techniques that they use. They use pretexting, baiting, and tailgating. So pretexting, is when they pretend to be someone that you trust or know. It could be your boss or a family member, someone that you love, asking for help or a need. And there's a popular one going around, which is the Apple gift card. They use Apple gift card. They will pretend to be someone that needs Apple gift card, and all that. Check online. It's one of the most popular ones that they use. Someone will claim that he's your boss. He's in a conference meeting and he needs to sell, uh, you know, Apple gift cards to the executives, and they need you to identify the nearest Apple store to get it. By the time you do that, you find out that you've probably paid so much and then you cannot get your money back. The person just goes through. So, and they use that to sell Apple products and then they make money off it. So you see, that is pretexting. Example of pretexting. Now, baiting is when they offer you something enticing, free this, free that, and then it contains malware. So you say, I said social engineering can come in form of phishing, it can come in form of malwares. But what distinguishes it from others is because it is a manipulative method. They come in form of human interactions. They come to attack your emotions, or rather to appease your emotions and you know steal from you. And then we have tailgating. Tailgating is physical, like maybe they follow you into a place. They pretend to be someone else, or they just go into a place with you, and before you know it, they have caused problems. So that is what tailgating is. So how do you protect yourself against this? Again, verify the identity of everyone asking for sensitive information. You're gonna receive them probably in your email. When you get them, check. Some of them are very unprofessional. They don't have email signatures, you know, their English is poor, but check. The ones that are professional, you see that you still have to check because they are targeting you. They come very professional, but then they are not real. So you have to check. So that's why I will recommend that every organization has a security policy in place as to how to interact with emails, how to interact with new customers. That will save companies a lot. So verify the identity of everyone asking for sensitive information. Don't provide information over phone or email unless you are sure of the person's identity. Now, another thing I recommend is companies should not be using phones or public email address for communication. It is actually very dangerous to do that. The most dangerous one of them is WhatsApp. Because of the encryption that Facebook Meta claims to have, when someone attacks through WhatsApp, there is no way you can trace them. I went far to there was one case that I went far to even ask an employee of Meta how to do this, how to find this person. They said they can't do it. So WhatsApp is very bad because once there's an attack, you're left alone. Email is better than WhatsApp because you can track, the person. There's information there. It's not totally encrypted, you know. And then what I recommend is to have a communication channel in place, a communication software, a communication app that everyone should, every company should use. So everybody gets onboarded into that platform. Every department has its own channel or group, just like how we have WhatsApp group. Every department has their own. So everything that is being communicated should be communicated there. Anything work related should be communicated there. This kind of thing, an external person cannot come except he is being invited. So one person cannot come, and before he is being invited, you probably needs the permission of the director or whoever to enter into that channel. So that way it remains very secure. Information within the organization can flow without any attack. So that is very important. And then there's also supposed to be a proper line of communication so that information does not just scatter. So when you're using normal phones, public email, you're in an organization and then you're using normal Gmail to communicate between your colleagues and your superiors, tendency that they can easily attack you because it's not secure. So be cautious of unexpected requests, even from known sources. Now, insider threats. Now, these are threats, attacks coming from inside the company now, from employees, contractors, trusted individuals within organizations who misuse the access. In some cases, they're actually very deliberate. So that's why we say malicious types of insider threats. The first one here is malicious insider, which is an individual who intentionally causes harm or steals information. And then there's a negligent insider. So now these things happen because there was no security policy or security training in place. If there is appropriate training like that communication channel, for example, a malicious insider will find it very hard to get access to information or to communicate. But if it's using an external communication method, anyone can exploit that person, or he actually can exploit the system and steal. And then negligent insider, people who are not trained, who do not know anything about security, who are careless, sharing passwords anyhow, can cause, threats, can cause attacks to happen. So how do you mitigate it? Strict access control based on roles and responsibilities. That's why I mentioned the software. I'm going to mention one that I use and has saved us a lot. Regularly monitor and audit employee activities, provide training on security policies and proper use of company resources. Now, for communication, one popular and best communication channel that we can use, communication software we can use is Slack. There are other ones. There's if I can remember, there are similar ones, but Slack is for corporates. There's one for gamers. There's one for different, but Slack. There's one for developers as well. Slack has many of the things that every organization needs, and there's a free version that's available for use. So please, you can suggest this to your companies, to your organizations, and implement them rather than using WhatsApp text message. Those WhatsApp text messages, they can all be intercepted, especially normal text SMS. It can be intercepted. NCC sees all the text messages and calls that you make. So yeah, and then proper line of communication. So where there's a cyber threat, the right person to report to should be known, so that everybody sends information there. Very important. So basically, what I've just talked about is phishing emails disguised as internal communications, malwares delivered through email attachments or untrustworthy websites, social engineering attempts such as phone calls pretending to be IT support, insider threats from employees sharing passwords or misusing access. So please remember, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat or prepare them for the end. I'll answer them when we get towards the end. Now, safe internet and email usage. We're going to learn the best practices for safe and internet browsing, and identify and avoid risks online. Safe browsing habits now. Yeah, so browsing the internet is part of daily work life. Everybody, I mean, on a daily basis, we're looking at our Google, we're checking the internet. So there is need for security. Unsafe browsing can expose your device and the organization to malware, scams, and other cyber threats. So yes, so that's why I said earlier, stick to the known websites that you have, the known and reputable websites that you know. Then avoid clicking on ads or links from unfamiliar sources. Do not click on ads at all, especially if you are in an organization. If you want to do it on your own personal time, you can do that in your laptop. If you get an attack, at least you know that you're the only one that is going to face that problem. But if you are in a company network and you are busy clicking on ads of different kinds or misusing, opening their security loopholes, you're affecting the whole organization and the cost is high. Then check for the accuracy of URLs, just like I showed us, the accuracy of the website address. Check and make sure that they are legitimate, and then always look out for HTTPS. This is called SSL security, SSL certificates. Make sure that there's always a padlock sign at the top left corner of the URL search bar. Yes, so that shows that there's an extra layer of security on that website. And encryption, not just security, it's encrypted. So it's harder to attack. When there is no there's no S and it is just HTTPS, it means that there's a port that is open for attack. It can easily be attacked. Now, how do you recognize secure connections? Like I mentioned, websites that use HTTPS as opposed to HTTP are encrypted and offer a higher level of security, protecting your data from being intercepted. Now, the data we're talking about is your server. You know, they're not really caring about the data on the front page of your website. They're looking for how they can enter into your server to get your information, to get your passwords, and from there, they're actually trying to get into your bank account. Now, please, if you are using, even though I'm going to mention it later, but try not to save passwords online. It is very important that you do not save your passwords on your browser. I'll tell you what to do. So I mentioned that for browsers, always look out for the padlock sign. This sign. Look for this sign when browsing. It indicates that your connection is secure on that website. And yes, be cautious of sites that are not secure. Now, Google, when you're visiting any site with HTTP that is not secure, Google, Google Chrome will notify you that the website is insecure. So if you go ahead to do it, it should be at your own risk. Avoiding suspicious websites. Suspicious websites often harbor malware, scams, or phishing attempts. Signs of suspicious websites include poor design. You see them, they are not designed properly. They have different pop-ups. Sometimes it might not even be the owner, or maybe the developer did not do proper work, but and then if, or let's say the developer's own system was attacked, most likely the website that he developed will also contain virus. From there, more virus, and virus attracts more virus. You see that it becomes a hub for several different kinds of viruses. And when they attack and you visit such sites, one of the best things to do is to always have an ad blocker. It helps to filter those things out, but prevention is better than cure. So stay away from such websites. So you see them, they're looking for numerous pop-ups, broken links. Yes. And they are giving you so many, CTS, call to actions about downloading this, downloading that. Don't do that. Strange URLs, don't do that. So sometimes better type it into the browser than you just clicking on other websites. Now, when it comes to banking websites, your bank websites, I hardly use Google to just search and then go. I type it in the URL. That is what you should do. Type the thing in the URL and never save your bank accounts details anywhere. Just have it on your head, your bank account. So that saves you a lot of stress because once it enters in there, your bank account is the next thing. Once your because softwares can steal that, bots can go there and exploit it, and people can actually get access to it because these are people. So SSL SSL is the name of this is a security. There's a question here from Tunde Williams. SSL is security and it is represented by HTTPS. You will never see SSL written on it. So HTTPS means it has an SSL certificate. HTTP does not have an SSL certificate. So that is what it means. So email security. Email is the most common attack mediums for cyber criminals. Phishing attacks and malicious attachments. And malicious, attachments are prevalent there. So to protect yourself and organization, you need to learn how to recognize and avoid email threats. I touched on this, but again, always verified unexpected emails, especially those asking for sensitive information, those compelling you to do something. Always verify them. Do not be quick to respond, no matter how exciting. Spotting phishing emails. Look out for red flags of phishing emails. The red flags include unfamiliar sender address or domain, generic greetings like dear customer, urgent, or threatening language, your account will be suspended, just like the one I had showed you earlier, suspicious attachments or links. Before clicking any or downloading an attachment, verify the source by checking the email address and contacting the sender. Sometimes don't even contact the sender. First thing you should do is send it to the IT personnel of the organization. Let the person scrutinize the email and then know how to respond. Sometimes they don't just send it and expect you to act immediately. They want to get your information. They want to know more about you and study you. So you could probably, in each email they can just be asking you about, you can go back and forth, replying each other. They just want to be able to study you in the beginning, then they can come in another form as another person to attack you. So it is important. So ad blockers, someone is asking about ad blockers. Ad blockers are available on Google Chrome Store. So there are ad blockers available on Google Chrome Store. Check for ad blockers. They are all there. You can just get a good one. You look at the one that has so many reviews, download it, and it will help you. So now, personally, I don't even use antiviruses. I do because I have over time learned how to prevent myself from using all those malicious websites and all that. So I just do with the one that is in the system. But it is very important that as an organization that you have such. You have an antivirus system in place. You have your security policy will align all of these things. Now, avoiding malicious attempts. Don't open attachments from unknown senders. Be cautious of attachments in unsolicited or unexpected emails, even from known contacts. Scan all attachments and antivirus software with an antivirus software before opening. Yeah. Now, this part is talking about the public Wi-Fi. When you go to different, when you go to an external place outside your organization and you log into their Wi-Fi, there are risks involved because whether you know it or not, there is a high level of interference. You don't know about their security as well. You go to cafes, airports, hotels, you don't know about their security. All these things have yeah, have loopholes and they can interfere. They see some of them actually have registration. You register before you can access their platform, so they know who you are and your communication is not secure. So there are things you should not do when accessing those kind of websites because you can have middleman attacks. Middleman is the interception. Hackers can intercept data transfer between you or your device and that particular Wi-Fi, that network. Eavesdropping. Attackers can view unsecured communication and steal sensitive information. And there are some networks that are rogue Wi-Fi networks. Hackers can create fake Wi-Fis and trick people into connecting and stealing their data. So once you are in those networks, it's very important to be very cautious of what you do. How do you protect yourself? Avoid accessing sensitive information. Do not open your work emails. Do not open banking apps, the banking websites, especially on public Wi-Fi. If you can, use a VPN. VPN is better. This way, it just helps by encrypting and putting an extra level of security on top of it. And that way, your IP is blocked because they won't see your IP. They will see a different IP when you use a VPN. So, disable auto connect on your device. Don't be auto connecting. Very important. If you select auto connect on your device, so whenever you are around that Wi-Fi, it connects. This makes you to be less vigilant, and your phone just connects and information can just be leaking out of your device or your system without you knowing. So, and then you can go ahead and actually verify the authenticity of the Wi-Fi network before connecting, especially in public places. Now, looking at password security, this is also very important, if not one of the most important things. And it's something that also has to be in the policy of the company, security policy. They are the first line of defense in protecting your digital accounts. When your passwords are weak, you make it very easy for attackers to gain unauthorized access to sensitive data. So you all know what passwords is. The main thing for you to know is when it's weak, it is very easy to attack. And I'm going to show you. It's very easy to gain access. People don't do guesswork. They're not using guesses. They're using a system that runs in milliseconds to just try several. It uses permutation or combination. It uses mathematics. Just runs several passwords and tries to get access into your account. So this is why there's always a standard for creating passwords. If you're a developer, you are creating passwords, ensure you have required passwords should not be nothing less than 8 to 10 or 12. You know, the best is 12. The longer the digits, the better. That's just it. If it's below 8, it's not good. Now, characteristics of the strong passwords. Let it be at least 12 characters long. Include a mix of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. Avoid the use of common words or names or birthdays. Those are the things they actually check first. They will tell you some websites will tell you use something that you can remember. You don't necessarily need to use something you can remember. That will bring me to my next thing. Use passphrases, combination of unrelated words for added complexity. You see, look at this one for example. Now, look at this little chart over here. This I think starts from 5 digits, 5 digit password. These are passwords. Look at this: 5 digit passwords, 6 digit passwords, 7 digit passwords are very weak. It takes seconds to minutes to crack them using those softwares. Then from 8 to 10 is still weak. It takes some hours or days to crack them. But you see, if you're going 11, 12, 13, it takes months to years. So standard policy is that let's say, IT policies require that every 6 months your passwords are changed. Because before this one starts, that machine cracks your password, you should have changed it. You should have changed it. And then if you have 14 to 16 plus strong, it can take them centuries, which they will never be able to. No one will just keep a software that long trying to, get into your system. So it's very important that you have a strong password. So, which is why there's a system there's a password manager that I would recommend, because this is not something you can recall with your head. Which is why there's a need for a password manager. So, best practices for password creation and management. Use a unique password. Use a unique password for every account. Don't use one password and you're using across several different accounts. That is wrong because once one has been exploited, the attacker will pick that one and try them across several other platforms or play around them. Once he finds a word inside, he can play around them and tries to you know tries them on different other accounts, and if they're on other accounts, that means he has gained access to several other accounts. So do not reuse them. Do not reuse same password on different sites. It's not right. And then update passwords regularly, especially for sensitive accounts, financial accounts, work emails. Every 6 months, passwords are supposed to be changed. Every 6 months. That is a standard policy. Now, password management tools. Um, this I cannot overemphasize the importance. In our organization, people share passwords. Definitely, there are softwares that are used across several departments, across the whole organizations. You know, and how you manage those passwords are important. There are some organizations that use Microsoft Office to store their passwords. Some use Excel. That is very wrong. It's very wrong. The best thing to use so far I can recommend is a password manager, and do not use Google passwords. Never save your passwords on Google. If you are doing that, please just go and download them and then delete the ones that are on Google. I have tried several password managers and I use LastPass and it has been very good. It has a free version and there are family versions and there are organization versions. Look at LastPass, OnePass, or Bitwarden. I have tested these ones and they are very good and they are highly secure. What happens is your passwords are encrypted. You have one password manager that you can remember. That one you don't need to write it anywhere. And then you can also add that one to your Google Chrome because most of them have extensions on your Google Chrome. So when you open those websites, it knows the website and puts the password. But Google does not know the password. Your web browser does not know the password. So it's always encrypted. So please use password management tools. Now the company version of these password managers it works in a way that many people can have access to it and you can create departments in different in the password managers so that those that are responsible for a particular software or particular website can access their own website and others will not access those passwords. So it's very important that you take this into consideration. Instead of going to someone to ask him what is the password for this account, what is the password, and the person is sending it to you on via text or WhatsApp, you're leaving room for exploitation. So this securely store your passwords in an encrypted format and automatically generate a field password, reducing the risk of human error. So with this, you are able to create maybe 16-digit password that you don't even need to remember. All you need to remember is a password to the password manager, and then you have it. And no one can easily access that password manager because it has levels of authentication as well. So it's important to consider this. So I highly recommend, please try this out yourself and see how it works. Avoiding common password pitfalls. Don't share your passwords with others, or don't write them down where they can easily be found. In some places, some companies they use sticky notes. They write password on sticky note, they paste it on their system or on the table, and they leave. That's bad. Avoid using public devices or networks to log into sensitive accounts. Don't go to the cyber cafe and log into your bank account. If you happen to do that, try as much as you can to delete it, but don't try that. First, you don't even know how secure the system is. You don't know how the virus on the system and the virus in the system. You don't know what the browser looks like. The browser could be old, and most of them they are old browsers. Old browsers don't have security, so avoid doing that. Avoid sharing with another person as well. Then beware of phishing scams designed to steal your login details. Two-factor authentication. You've heard about this. It's very important in securing accounts. Two-factor basically is adding another factor. It's another layer of an extra layer of security to your account. So that if by chance someone has been able to crack your password, the person might not be able to get into it because he will still need another level of security. And for me, I have put even up to like three, and you can put up to 3 to 4 different levels of security on your account as much as you want, you know. But sometimes it's not very convenient. I know it's not so convenient to put even two for some people, but two is very important. It is the standard. So use 2FAs on accounts where necessary. There are other forms of 2FA, two-factor authentication. There's text message, which will send you an OTP codes for whatever app or web app or software you're opening. Authentication apps like Google or Authy are important. I use Authy, so use that. It's very important. And then when you are using the same account, with your let's say colleague at work, instead of using, it's always important to have your own access into a particular account instead of sharing one username and password or email and password. You know, because using it, if an attack comes from one other person, it's hard to know. But if you have your own access, you can maintain your own security, and it is very important for you to do that. And then there's biometric verification where necessary. If you want to put biometric verification on your account, only use them when necessary. Don't use them all the time. Some people are concerned about giving their biometric data out there. Yes, that's what I said, where necessary. You don't need to do it everywhere. Now we enable 2FA on critical accounts, banking, emails, work systems, data protect data, any data management systems, put 2FA. And ensure that there is log. If you are using in your organization, ensure that there is a log report for all these systems in place, so that anyone that accesses any system, you can, the system records that the person accessed it at a particular time, the particular date and time. Some go to the extent of stating the reason the person came in. So it's important. So use authentication methods. You can use the app. Like in the case of our banks, we have hardware versions of tokens. So those ones are important. Then have backup options. If you're using 2FA, ensure you have a backup option, because if your 2FA gets lost, you can lose your whole account. Backup options such as your recovery email or phone number in case your 2FA is not available. But then try not to opt for SMS 2FA, because SMS can be intercepted. Like I said, while I interned, at NCC several years ago, they could see your messages. NCC sees your texts, they see your messages that pass, so they see everything that happens. They want to intercept your call, they can intercept it. So they have that technology. Then, if you are using websites, very important to use captures. Like Google captures, sometimes you can have security questions. This prevents robots from accessing your website. Like I said, they target your login forms and they just use brute force to attack it, which means they just try that brute force uses several passwords at very high speed until it gets access into it. But with this, it is not able to, because once Google, this capture notices a robot attempt, it brings up that challenge for them, and a robot cannot do that. So ensure you are using captures in your forms, all forms, login forms, contact forms, any form on your website, you should put it in place. Now let's look at how you protect sensitive information. In protecting sensitive information, you start by classifying them. Which one is sensitive? There are different levels of sensitivity. You classify the sensitivities. First, which one is public information. Because there is public information out of every organization, there's information that is made publicly available to people, like those on your websites, those on your marketing materials. So they are also very important. The fact that they are public does not mean that they are not important, because that is where you find things like copyright infringements. intellectual properties. So those are made publicly available, but yes, an attack on them can cost you your reputation of your organization as well. So important, it's an important one. Then we have internal data now. We're now coming in. We have information intended for internal use within organizations. Then we have confidential data, data of customers, data of your employees. Those are confidential. Then we have restricted data, such as highly sensitive information like financial information, proprietary data of the organization. So you classify them into public, internal, confidential, restricted. And then with these different types of data, there are different types of people with different access levels that can, have access to them. So classify them, then you'll be able to know how you can, give access to these different types of data. So protecting different types of data. With public data, there's minimal security is required. Internal data, limited access, only give responsible personnel access to it. Confidential data requires encryption and restricted access. For example, if you're running a large company, things like financial, let's say an invoice will be sent. There's usually an initiator, someone who will initiate an invoice. There's someone who will approve it, and then there's someone who will send it. So those information that's what I mean by restricted access. And then there's restricted data, maximum security measures, encryption, access control, monitoring are all required. Things like CCTV cameras, they're also restricted, and only people that access it are the IT people usually. So always be aware of the classification of data before accessing, sharing, or storing it. So like I did mention, there's low sensitivity. Those four can be classified into categorized into three different levels of sensitivities. There's low sensitivity, then medium sensitivity, and high sensitivity. The public data is under low sensitivity. Then the internal and confidential are under medium sensitivity, and the restricted is under high sensitivity. Example of low sensitivity are website contents. Example of medium sensitivity, we're talking about employee and customer data. You don't just open the customer's information out for the public. Then high sensitivity, we're talking about financial, you know, court data, critical assets, and things on that in that class. Secure document handling and storage. To my amazement, many organizations still use papers to handle information, which I wish this can be changed, and I'm hoping there's going to be an improvement. But if you go to many organizations in Abuja today, data is still handled with paper, and in the case of fire outbreak, those things can get lost. But it seems to be taking a lot for people to just adjust to technology. So when it comes to handling sensitive documents, use password protected files. There's a way you can put password on even your Word files or your PDFs. Put passwords on them if they're highly sensitive, and let only the person that's responsible or supposed to get the document have that password. Yes. Now, if they are physical papers, ensure they are stored in a secure cabinet and in a secure place. There are some fireproof cabinets today, so you can use that. Then, when disposing sensitive documents, always shred or use secure disposal methods. Now, just when handling customer data, do not be careless about those physical, just leaving documents around the places and going. It's very dangerous, it's not ethical. And then another best practice is only collect, use, and retain the minimum amount of personal data necessary for specific purpose. If you are only collecting, for example, you registered for this event, I only ask for name, email, number. I don't need your date of birth. I don't need your country of origin. I don't need, some people can ask all kinds of data for just unnecessary reasons. So It is called data minimization. Get only the minimum data that you need. And that was it. And that's all. When storing data, I prefer that companies use a document management system where they work online and not have to use paperwork all the time. But in some industries, it's not always that feasible. So store sensitive files in secure, encrypted cloud storage or protected network drives. Regularly back up important files. So when you're storing them online, ensure you have a backup. So most people who do these days who have um, document management system online, they do hybrid. So they have the offline version on paper and then one online as well. And always restrict access. Now, best practices for sharing information. I did mention the secure communication channel. Just a second. Secure, use encrypted email services or VPNs when sharing sensitive information online. You will know when the time comes, you will know when to use those VPNs. So for highly sensitive data, consider using specialized secure file sharing platforms. Like I did mention Slack, if you're sharing within your organization, just give them a Slack. It's safe. You're not sending via email. So avoid sharing sensitive information, especially via public Wi-Fi. Verify recipients again before sharing. Before you share, ensure you know who you're sharing to. Double check the email address and contact details to avoid accidental leaks. Something that Google does today, if you're using the Google Workspace for Business and you're sending any email to an outsider who is not in your domain, in your organization, it gives you a query first to warn you that this person is not part of your organization so that you'll be able to double check before sending. So ensure you're doing that. So recognizing and reporting security incidents. What constitutes a security incident? Now, at this point, they have already hit you. If you are when we're talking about security incidents, you have already been attacked. But there are different levels of attack. So sometimes it's not so much. Sometimes you're just suspicious about a particular attack, but it has not really hit. And sometimes it can be very big. So imagine maybe you notice someone logs into your account and then you haven't logged into your account and then you notice you get an email saying someone has logged into your account. So that is an unauthorized access to sensitive data. So possibly the person has not yet hit, but it's in the process of doing that. So it's important that you know how to attack those scenarios. Phishing attempts, remember these are also security incidents. Malwares, infections on any computer on company devices, loss or theft of company device, suspicious network activity. So these are security incidents. Steps to take when a potential threat is identified. First, do not panic. Very important. Stay calm, analyze the situation, do not attempt to fix it on your own, especially, except you are the IT person. Do not attempt to fix it. Take note of suspicious activity, then disconnect from it. If you are in a device, if your device is compromised, infected with malwares, disconnect from it or disconnect from the incidents itself. Do not involve yourself in the incident, but then document it. So write down the key details, what you observed, when it happened, any actions you've taken or you did not take, and then forward it to the appropriate personnel responsible for that. The IT department or security team is responsible, so you forward it to them for further actions. The organization incidents reporting procedures. So yes, when reporting incidents, IT help desk, security team, designated incident response team are the people you should report to. So when you're reporting this, include in your report all that you have observed. And you can even write your own analysis or anything that you can write, just write about it. No information is too small. So let the IT team do it. So yes, why incident reporting is important. Now, why you're reporting it is because the earlier the better. Do not let it linger. If you notice it, it might look small, but it might have happened, in a big way that you do not know. And you might be just seeing it in a small way. So report it early. When you report it early, you give room for it to be attacked or solved much earlier before it causes further damage. And then you prevent future incidents when you do that. And it also gives room for proper compliance and security checks. So proper compliance helps ensure the organization meets regulatory and legal obligations related to data breach and security. Normally, every month there's supposed to be, a check into our system. Organizations are supposed to be having meetings, staff meetings, at least once a month, where different things are being. The security team talks about their own part, what they have mitigated, what they have been able to, to rectify. So it is important that every month there's a report coming in from the security team. Social engineering. Okay, so I didn't mention this earlier, but I'll go through it again. Social engineering attacks rely on psychological manipulation to deceive individuals into divulging sensitive information or performing actions that compromise security. There's pretexting, where attackers create fabricated scenario to trick the victim into providing information or access. An example is a scammer pretending to be on an IT technician requesting login credentials to fix a non-existent issue. Then there is baiting. An attacker lures victims by offering something enticing, free software, gifts, in exchange for sensitive information or access to systems. That is one. And then tailgating, an unauthorized person follows an employee into a secure area without proper credentials. So entering a building, that is what it is. Now case studies. Look at this case study. This is another account. Okay, this is what I showed us earlier. Imagine an attacker pretending to be a CEO or senior executive, so sending urgent emails to employees to transfer money or share confidential data. The impact here can be very severe. In several cases, the companies have lost millions of dollars to fraudulent wire transfers. And then another in a phishing attack, an attacker sends emails posing as a trusted entity, like a bank, just like in the example I showed. Person pretending to be from the bank or a colleague, asking the recipient to click on a link or download an attachment. The link either leads to a fake login page or downloads malware. The thing is, you don't even need to, once you have opened, for many of them, the moment you have clicked on that link, they have gotten the information that they wanted. So sometimes you don't need to go and fill in any other form. Once you've just clicked it, they know what they've gotten information. So better not to click it. It leads to data breaches, exposing sensitive company data and causing reputational damage. Again, verify identities. Don't trust unsolicited communication, especially if it involves offers that seem too good to be true. Think before you click and develop a security first mindset. Always question unexpected requests, especially those that involve sensitive data. Now we're approaching the end. The importance of ongoing security awareness. Security is, it's important that there's constant security awareness training in an organization. Cybersecurity isn't just a one-time effort, but it's a constant and ongoing process. it surprises you to know that every, you know, day, new kinds of attack methods are coming up, new kinds of viruses are coming up. People are attacking organizations from different levels on a daily basis. So companies should not relax, should not relax. They should actually be on top of their game with training the employees. And whenever there's a new employee during the onboarding, that person should go through a process of security training as well. And then regularly reinforce security practices, ensuring that employees stay mindful of potential risk in their day-to-day work. So for those who registered to this, I will also give you a checklist of security items that you can use in your organizations. So you can go through them and just make sure you tick, and it's kind of like a workbook for you. And then I've also drafted a template, security policy template that you can implement. So it's going to be of help as well. Then, like I mentioned, new threats are coming up, so you should adapt to new threats, which is why you should have extra security. Now, on websites, one other thing that you can do is you can use extra firewall on your website when you by using things like websites like Cloudflare. You connect your website to Cloudflare, and then you can use zero method attack. So what Cloudflare does is it adds an extra layer of SSL security, and there are different levels of security that it has. So our website is protected by Cloudflare, and wherever an attack is coming from, there was a particular time we noticed an attack from Lagos. There was an attack that was coming from another country, and it was coming. It was so bad. So what I just did was I selected that IP address and blocked it. Selected the IP addresses that are sending the bots and blocked it, and that was how it was. Everything came back to normal. So I recommend use of cybersecurity, especially when your website becomes a hub for attack. When you are vulnerable for attack, use it and then it will be secure. But if you are not collecting sensitive information, if people are not really registering on your website like that, if it's just a static website, then it's fine. But if your website is an asset for you, then you should have a level of security on it. So, encouraging a security conscious workplace. Promote open communication amongst employees. Encourage employees to speak up when they notice something suspicious or have questions about security policies. Let there be transparency. Non-punitive environment where employees feel comfortable reporting potential threats will help mitigate risk early and make security everyone's responsibility. So everyone should feel responsible for security, not just the IT personnel or the security team, but the managers, from the receptionist, the people at the door. They should have that mentality that they are responsible for security as well. So conscious learning and staying updated on security trends are very important. This is where the training comes in again. Conduct periodic cybersecurity training. Now, these trainings, you can also outsource these trainings. It's not necessarily that you have to do them by yourself. You can hire us at a affordable rate, and we'll offer training to your employees on specific areas that you need. Like I mentioned, this is just systems. There's a network part of security, which is mostly for the the IT team. The IT team will be trained on that, and then there's a part of data as well. Data is everyone. Everyone is handling data. So data practices call for also training and other auditing as well. So we are licensed to provide audit by the government. So we're running that. So that brings me to the end of this training, and I would like to answer questions now. If anyone has a question, please would you be kind enough to drop it at the chat box? I can see that there are a few questions. Someone is asking if viruses have expiry date in the systems when you don't open it. Well, I don't think you'll be that patient enough to just wait for the virus to expire. So I don't think viruses have expiry dates. They don't have expiry dates. They go there to cause the damage that they have caused. When they are done causing the damage, they have no use again. So you won't just wait for them to finish. So someone says, but it says, how can I enhance my email filtering to better prevent phishing attacks on cyber threats? Well, first is you visit sites and you subscribe to websites, you give room websites that are not good. You give room for them to send you emails, and before you know, you don't know about their own data protection policy. You don't know how they're using your information. It could be from one simple site that five other different websites have access to your information because they share data with third parties. Some of these, because we don't most of the time we don't look at privacy policies of organizations. They states there that sometimes that they can share your information with third parties for whatever purpose they are doing that for. So from there you find that you can receive different kinds of email. So first is you unsubscribe from different emails that you don't need, so that only the good ones come to you. So from phishing attacks, uh, you know, what you just need to do is, just like I have mentioned, identify, do not respond to them. Over time, they will stop because these are deliberate people. They're not just sending emails for nothing. So do not respond to them at all. What you can do is, your email has a way of sending them to another file, another folder into your email. So as they come, identify where they are. If they are coming constantly, let them just move into a particular file so you don't get to see them. So that is how you can filter those ones. And then Glenn says, can I use same email accounts on different websites? You can use different emails, but don't use same passwords. What is the use of firewall? How can it be implemented? Firewall is an extra level of security on your systems. You can put firewall on servers. You know, there are some servers that have extra firewall. So this is a network level kind of cyber let's say security. So it's used on hostings to put extra level so that it's not just opened like that. It's not directly at the email level, it's at the server level that it is done, or the website level that it is done. So, yeah, the server basically. So now, if you're having a website and you want to implement cybersecurity, you want to implement a firewall, there are different types that can be, you can buy SSL, for example, there's some SSL that come with a higher level of firewall. But then there's a free one that I mentioned, which is the Cloudflare. Cloudflare is not totally free, but they have a free version that is very good on its own, and it will save you a lot of stress. So you should think about that. Yeah. How do you spot if the cyber attack is internal in an organization? Well, it will be traced. That's why when it's reported, the cybersecurity person will trace it. If it's within the organization, it's even easier because it's the person, the IP will be there, so you know it's within the organization. The cybersecurity team knows the IP of the company or the organization. So, and one important thing is when people come into some organizations, you register your devices, you register your mobile phones, your systems, so they know your system, they know what is coming in and out of your system. While they're there, in some organizations, they provide you with systems so you don't come with your systems to be able to track everything that goes on inside the company. So this is it for now. Are there any more questions from our attendees? So I would like to thank All those who have registered for this, I you will be receiving your certificate. I will send an e-certificate shortly after. By tomorrow, you should be able to get it. So, and this training is going to be done every month. So we are working and letting other organizations to be aware of this training, so that more people can be compliant with security. So, in the absence of no questions, we're going to call it a day. Okay, Rukert is asking what attacks does Cloudflare attack? So Cloudflare attacks mostly malwares, not phishing. You see, phishing is more manual than than malwares. Malwares is bots. So all those password bots, Cloudflare just dispels them. So once it notices it, it blocks it immediately. So mostly malwares. It doesn't do manual. The manual ones, it's been sent by somebody to your email. Cloudflare doesn't know that. But there are some emails that are designed, like I said, there's a general one, then there's the spear phishing email, the one that is directly attacked to you. The one that comes with maybe the title, dear user, dear sir, dear ma. They're probably sending it to a lot of people and just expecting one person to act or a few people to act. But the spearheading is being sent directly to you. You will know that because they've designed things to suit what you want. So that is it for now. Any more questions? All right, so I would like to thank everybody again. SARS, thank you so much for this, for availing yourself for this training. You will receive a package in the email from me, together with your certificates by the morning. So thank you, everyone, and do have a good evening.